Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Witty's Outdoor Reviews. Today we're going to stay with what we've been doing, right? Is let's look at gear that you can add to any of your bags, to your survival kit, your camping kit, or just to have around the house, throw in the glove box of a car, or a truck. So what we're looking at here is I did a short on the Ozark Trail 7.5-inch slide lock knife, right? So if you can tell, it's just a slide lock. So it swings open with just a flick out and closes with a flick in. It's got a really nice smooth action. I know some of the more expensive knives, they say they have like I think it's a ceramic ball bearing. This one doesn't really say. I probably could find that information. But this one doesn't actually say that I've read on the packaging. So anyways, that's the knife. And then this is what they're calling like an EDC flashlight. So you can see it's rechargeable. From what I've read, it takes about 4.5 hours to get from a full charge. But we'll talk about each one of them independently. But first, let's go with the knife, right? A lot of people, man, love the comments, guys. Thank you so much for commenting. A bunch of people have talked about Ozark Trail knives. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of guys carry these as their every day, or in their truck, or in a backpack, in a suitcase, in a briefcase, and, you know, whatever. A lot of people seem to carry the Ozark Trail. And actually, I got a bunch of comments from guys telling me different ones that they carry or have carried. I will say one thing. In my everyday carry pouch that's in my truck, I've got a Spyderco H1 on that kit. I always carry, you know, a knife with me in my pocket. And sorry, I'm going to get it out because I like to show more than I like to tell. But sorry about that. I should have had it first. I carry one of these every day, which is just an outdoor edge. They call it a 3.5 field back razor. And it's got you can tell this one's had plenty of use because I carry these daily. I've got a black one that I'm carrying now, but this is the one that I had before. I've actually broke down a hog with this knife. So, I mean, it's a razor blade, right? Super sharp. But what I did find out is instead of replacing these razor blades, if you just run it through a regular knife sharpener a couple times, it'll get back pretty sharp without having to replace a blade. These blades tend to curl over a lot, but we're not reviewing this. I was just, you know, in my truck, I have in my center console with my coins and my lighter and stuff like that. I don't smoke, but I have a lighter. I carry a lighter with me everywhere. I have an Ozark Trail knife that I bought for $4.87 5 years ago. That knife has seen more action than any of my other knives combined to this date. Why? Because it's under $5, and if I break it, if I dull the blade, doesn't matter. You know, I bought it as hey, I can tear it up. So when I'm in my truck, I could easily grab my Spyderco and cut open a box, cut off a zip tie, whatever. But I always go to that cheap Ozark Trail knife because I don't really care if it gets messed up. I don't have a lot invested into it to where, and to be honest, I've never sharpened that knife. And I have no problem cutting through thick 1/2-inch zip ties. Not a problem at all. Cuts right through them. Yeah, I got to do you can give a little more force, but I've never sharpened it. 5 years. So that kind of led me to believe, why do I spend money on super expensive knives that I don't use? And that's a good question. I love knives. I'm a knife guy. But man, got a brand new Benchmade bug out still in the box that sits in a drawer. It's absolutely useless to me for that money that I spent. And that was just, man, you know, when Benchmade came out, I'm like, I've got to have one. And yes, the bug out is entry level. They go up from that 180 a lot. But I wanted one, I bought one, and it's bugged me ever since that I spent that money on a knife that I don't use when I'm going to go to a $4 or $5 Ozark Trail folder that's sitting in my truck. So when I saw this one come out, when it first came out, I didn't realize what it was. I'm like, that's just an orange knife, not my thing. I didn't realize it was a side locker. And then I saw a couple people review this, and there have been some brutal reviews on this knife as far as what they've put them through. But I really like it now that I've got it. So it's made out of D2 steel. So if people don't know, I'm not a metallurgist or whatever you want to call it, but I know some of my knife steels just from, being around knives for a long time. I mean, I started back in the day. I mean, if you look at your standard buck knife, a lot of knife guys at one time had the classic buck, right? Good, solid, performing knife. And that was made out of 420 high carbon steel. Great blade, good edge retention, good beater, right? You could beat up a buck knife pretty hard. But then later, all these other steels started popping out. And when D2 came out, which this is made out of, man, that was the stuff, right? And then you have Benchmade that's S30V, which is like the pinnacle, right, of steels when you're looking at knives. Which is kind of made the D2, when you're coming to expensive knives, kind of obsolete. But there are a lot of knife companies that still use D2 steel. Kershaw is one of them. Kershaw uses a lot of D2 in their knives. And I mean, there's some pretty good Kershaw knives in the $50 to $60 range and up. But this knife, guys, at the time that I bought it, was $9.97. This is a $10 knife that a lot of people are saying is the Ozark Grail, the holy grail of Ozark knives. And I don't know if I believe that or not, but I've seen some reviews of other people putting this knife through all kinds of abuse. I wanted to put it on my channel, even though, hey, if you want to see somebody cutting through rope, cutting hoses, throwing it up in the air and letting it land on the tip, there's plenty of those reviews out there, so I'm going to save you from that on this channel. I just wanted to put it out there for our series of, what could you add to an EDC, a get-home bag, a camping bag that's going to be reliable, affordable, and it's going to get the job done. This all day long, I believe, will. So, for the $10, like I told y'all in my short, prove it wrong. Get it, beat it up for $10. Use it every day in place of any other knife you carry, and then let me know how you think it performs. I'm replacing, finally, after 5 years, the one in my truck will be replaced with this knife. I kind of hate to do that because I feel my other one's still got a lot of life left, but it is small. It's a lot smaller blade. It's more pockets, tiny pocket size, maybe that big. But they're calling this one, I think it's 7.5 folder. It doesn't have a name. It just says 7.5 inch folding knife, D2 high carbon steel blade, and it's got injection molded handles. So I like injection molded handles for a couple reasons, right? They're light, they're durable, but they always seem to have, they're not real slick. They seem to have a pretty good grip on them. And one thing about injected molded handles, right, is, man, you can make this handle any color you want. That's one thing good about injection molding is you can add dye to it. It's all the way through. The coloring will never wear off. And that's a good thing about, and they're easy to clean. So that's some of the good things about injection molding. One thing that you can tell, unlike a Benchmade bug out, is they have a steel backing. It's real thin, but you can kind of see it in there. It's got a steel backing. I know my Benchmade right here, you can squeeze it. It's got I guess the steel backing on it goes up to about here. So you can squeeze this part in. You can't do that on this knife. And I'll show you another thing. There is no blade play in that whatsoever. And I'm sorry, guys. I practice this because this is how I do my knives, but I haven't practiced looking. I'm looking through my phone screen. I'm not looking down at the table. So it's a lot harder to film and show you what I'm doing. But super easy one-handed operation, open and close. It does have jimping on it, and I think this is just long enough. A good index for your hand, for your finger. I have big hands, and you know, I could get on the jimping good enough to feather stick or carve some wood, whatever I need to do. The jimping is not aggressive, but enough, right? And there's some back here on the plastic part of the handle. So you can index it further back. You can index it up to get a little bit more pressure on something. But it has a lot of, in my mind, has a lot of control. So a good budget option, guys. I mean, if you're building your first EDC bag, what I've learned is put the best gear that you can afford in that bag. There's no sense not having a bag. If you want to build a bag, build a bag. Put the best gear that you can afford in there. And really, if it's a $50 or $60 knife, save that money on something else, because I guarantee you this can perform just as good as that $40 or $50 knife and up. So save some money on this and keep it in that bag until, you know, like I tell everybody, go one for one. If you put this knife in there, later replace it with a better knife if you find one. If this one's still serviceable, does everything you want it to do, it's been a great knife, it cuts, it does everything, anytime you pull it out, you're satisfied with it, then keep it in there. Don't buy, you know, a super expensive knife just because it's a super expensive knife. That's just my 2 cents. That's my opinion. Because I regret buying my bug out because I don't use it. It looks pretty. It sits in the original box, you know, in a drawer. And that's not what knives are intended to do. But for $200, I'm like, man, I don't want to mess it up. This, for $10, I will put this thing through the ringer and not think twice. And see if if it performs, if it's a good knife. All the reviews on it, other than, you know, mine here, because I haven't used it, other than, you know, showing you here. But so this is an envelope. And I know everybody does the envelope test, but it's a full envelope, so it's 3 layers. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous that if it doesn't cut it, then I look dumb. But if it doesn't cut it, that's a review, right? Well, you got to get started on a corner. I mean, I would say it cuts fairly well, and I don't know how many cuts you would have to make on something before it makes it dull. I mean, I would imagine a lot, but it cuts through there fairly effortlessly, and it's a clean cut. And part of the hanging up on it was I'm trying to look through this camera, so I wasn't on top of it. It's not the knife's fault. It's my fault. I'm not going to blame it on the knife. I'm trying to be my own cameraman and do a review, and sometimes it's hard to see exactly what you're doing when you're looking through the phone. But all in all, a good knife. Like I said, it's 7.5 inches. The blade length on it is 3.25. So the handle is 4.25. So 7.5 inches total. But it's got a belt clip on it. And what I like about this belt clip is you can tell, depending on your preference, you can swap sides with it and put it on the opposite side. So I think that's a nice little feature, to be able to swap your belt clip over. But you got a place that you could hook, you know, paracord to the back of it if that's your thing or whatever. But nice little knife, guys. Man, for $10, why not, right? Go out there and try it out. It's a good knife for 10 bucks, in my opinion. So that's enough about that. Let's go into the light. So they're calling this is also one of those things. This is its name, rechargeable LED flashlight. Right? Simple. That's what it is. They don't put fancy names in them like German names, you know, and Hispanic names or Spanish names, whatever you want to say. Sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I've seen all kinds of names, right? And then some made up hybrid names, whatever. But this is a rechargeable flashlight. It comes with your standard USB-C. Everything pretty much comes with a USB-C now. Plugs in the end. It says that it is, if I'm not mistaken, it's water resistant or weather resistant. So, you know, you can get it wet, but you can't submerge it, put it that way. But it's got 3 modes. I don't know if you can see, but it's got a high, medium, low, off. That's it. This does not move. It's got a fixed beam. You can't fine tune it in and out, but it's plenty bright. This thing is 1,000 lumens is what they're boasting. So on high, it's 1,000 lumens. Medium, 300. Low, 80. It says that if you run it on high, you can run it for an hour and a half. Medium, 3.5 hours. Low, continuous use of 8 hours. So those are pretty decent numbers. And it's showing that it's got effective light distance of 200 meters on high, 120 meters on medium, and 60 meters on low. So that'll kind of let you know how far you can kind of reach out there, and this light will illuminate something. But I like the light, and the light comes in at a whopping $12.98. So if you need a everyday carry light because you don't have one, or the one you have isn't 1,000 lumens and it's not as bright as you'd want it to be, man, you could get into this guy for $13. I carried this for a long time, and I've finally taken out of my bag. It's just a Streamlight Stylus Pro. Takes 2 AAA batteries, and I don't know if these batteries are 100% charged. But back in the day when I got this, man, this was a thing, and I think it's 100 lumens. So that's high, that's medium, and yeah, they're pretty close on low. So this is what I used to carry as my everyday, my EDC flashlight. Quick, easy, super slim. This one's a lot bigger, right? A lot fatter. But with people going to EDC bags, like sling bags, waist packs, backpacks, bigger bags, it seems like, super tiny gear isn't that big of a thing anymore. I mean, it still is, don't get me wrong. People still use small gear all the time, especially if you're doing a pocket EDC. This is what you want to have, something like this size, or the new flat ones now. But if you're doing a backpack or a bag, or if you're going camping, and like there was a time where my home flashlight was my camping flashlight. I didn't have 2, I just had the one. Getting right out of the military, hey, I bought a decent mag light, and at that point in time, I think they were like $39. I couldn't have 2. I had 1. So when I'd go camping, I'd have to make sure that I brought my light with me. But now I keep flashlights in each and every one of my bags in my truck. There is nowhere that I can't turn in my normal everyday situation, and I have a flashlight of some sort. So for the $13 and 1,000 lumens, man, you can have one in your truck, one in your backpack, one in your camping gear that stay there. You don't have to make sure, did I bring my light? Though, even if you have a light that's 2,000 lumens that you use at home and you want to make sure you take it camping, I got to bring my light. If you forget it, if you have one of these in your bag, you're going to be fine. So I think some of the Ozark gear, I know Ozark gets a knock, but I can tell you that I don't know how they produce this knife and make a profit for $10. I think they put it out to get their name back out there and to just to upset the market, man. I don't know. I don't see. This is $25 for this. And I mean, it's been a good knife. I have two of them. I use it this is my everyday carry knife. That's in my pocket, put it that way. I do have my everyday carry pouch that has the the Spyderco H1 on it, which is an old technology knife too. That Spyderco H1 has been around for a while. But anyways, guys, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, click all notifications. If you want to know any more about these, let me know. I just wanted to do a quick video to follow up, with the sticking to a budget theme, right? If you want to build a bag, if you want a backup light, if you want a backup knife, if you want a primary knife that you don't want to spend a lot of money on that has the functions of a higher dollar knife, these aren't bad options. So let me know what you think. Do you have one of these? If you've used it, let me know. How did it perform? If you've had one of these lights, are you satisfied? Do you like it? Because that information I get from y'all is what I'm going to feed back to everybody else. And, guys, scroll through some of the comments, because there are a lot of knowledgeable people that are in our little channel family here that go into a lot of detail on things, knives, flashlights, what they've used, what they've liked, what situations they've used them in. And that gives me a lot more knowledge to give back to everybody else. But all their information is in our comments. So I know it's hard to just go through there and read a bunch of comments, but sometimes there's useful stuff. And, I thank everybody for their information, because y'all are basically the beta testers, right? So am I. That's what we do. We get stuff, we try it out, and hey, I'm showing you this because I like it. If this would have been a piece of junk and I took it out, the blade was loose, it was hard to flick it out, cheesy clip on the back, I don't know if I actually would have spent time to review it, because I don't want to say, hey, look at this, spend 15 to 20 minutes talking about something, and at the end I'm like, it's junk, don't buy it. Now it's kind of different in my Temu unboxings, because I have no clue what the condition of anything is, haven't seen it up close when I buy it. So I show you, okay, this is junk, it's not going to work. These I picked up myself. I was able to look at them in the store. The knife comes in this package, so you can get a really good look at it. Check the thickness of the blade. You can feel the handle, all those things before you make your purchase. And I'd advise everybody, do that. Pick it up in the store. See what you think of it. The handle part. Is that something you like? The flashlight, it just comes in this little thing, and it actually on the package, it says, try me. So they have charge on them. And you could try it. Shine it on the shelf. Shine it up in the air. Shine it like to the back of some gear where it's dark. If it doesn't, illuminate the way you want it to, then leave it there on the shelf. I'm not trying to tell anybody to spend $13 on it if it's not going to do what they want it to do. If it's too fat, too stubby, they rather have batteries instead of rechargeable, whatever it may be. But the good thing about going to a box store is you could pick it up and you could feel the weight. You could try it out, see what it does in the store. And if it doesn't do what you want it to, hey, leave it there. You've lost no money. I'm just showing you, so maybe it'll make your decision. Hey, you know what? I seen them in the store. I didn't really know. I could take Ozark Trail or leave it. I'm just trying to get out to the budget-friendly people that if you have an old stream like this, and I think these went for like $30 back in the day. They're probably cheaper now. I mean, that's still a $30 light compared to $13. So if you are trying to replace old school technology, you can do that with something like this. And man, if it lasts you a year until you could save up the money to buy an O-Light or, anything like that, then do that. But still have one. Still put one in your bag. And I would never, ever question anybody if we were out and I had my EDC, you had your EDC, and you pulled this out. Because most likely I would tell them, you know what? I had one of those. It's a good little light. Yeah, you may have a 2000 lumen O-Light now, Hey, great. You saved up some money and you got you some high dollar gear. Fantastic. That doesn't mean you're going to see any better. I mean, yeah, with 2,000 lumens, you're probably going to see better than 1,000 lumens. But maybe equal to equal. 1,000, hey, maybe not that big of a difference when you come down to it, other than this says Ozark Trail and everybody knows you got it at Walmart. Other than that, if you're shining out in the field and you can see as good as him, does it matter? It doesn't to me. I've never been one that says, hey, I have to have all high dollar gear to be happy with my life. You know what? When I go out, 99% of the times, I'm by myself. So what do I care? I'm the only one seeing it. And if it lights up what I need it to in the middle of the night, then it's a good flashlight as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, guys, love y'all. I got a lot of comments on the cook stoves, the different kind of backpack camping cook stoves. We're probably going to start our first video tonight, get that out. On some of the more technical ones that I really want to get into, those are going to be longer videos. I may group 2 or 3 together if it's just an alcohol burning stove. I mean, you just light it and you go. There's not much to talk about. So we may do a series with 3 different ones. But the first one we're going to do is a super lightweight titanium and aluminum one that I showed in my last video. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much. Love you. We'll see you next time.